I'll never forget that moment of birthing my daughter and having her lifted and laid on my chest. And here I was in a place, because I had chosen to birth naturally and unmedicated. I felt every sensation.
I didn't get to hold him until he was 5 days old, and I feel like I really missed out on bonding time with him, so I really didn't like that. Rum tum tum tiddle-um. So he bent down, put his head into the hole, and called out, "Is anybody home?"
Natural birth is a birth when you are not receiving a lot of medication, whether it be for pain or an epidural, and you really go with the flow of what your body is trying to do, because women are really designed to have babies without having a lot of medical intervention and interference. Birth is a normal process, and women at this age period are generally low risk. Rare exceptions would be someone that has pre-existing diabetes or some other medical condition, such as high blood pressure or extreme obesity or just general medical problems. They might not be a good candidate for natural birth, but for the majority of women, natural birth is actually preferred because it has much fewer consequences.
I found that once I got in the water that I labored a lot quicker because I was so comfortable and so at ease. I mean, moderately at ease considering you're in labor. Yeah, but and then it just worked that when it was time to push, I knew I didn't want to get out, and I stayed there. And I'll never forget when my midwife laid my daughter on my chest, and she didn't cry. She just cooed and moved her little arms from side to side, and that's actually a common thing for water babies to not be screamers or criers, and because they're born from one warm fluid environment inside their mother's womb into another one, and so it's almost like the transition to planet Earth is a little smoother and easier. And here I was in a place, because I had chosen to birth naturally and unmedicated. I felt every sensation of that birth, and sometimes that intimidates women, but for me that was like the most profound thing, was to feel my daughter leave my body, and then to just have her welcomed into my arms immediately. And there I was in this warm tub with candles and music, and my husband right beside me, and my midwife telling me what an amazing job I did. And to this day, I'll never ever forget that moment. It changed my life as a woman and equipped me to be a strong mother.
Birthing in a hospital is probably the most common thing that we see here in the United States, and because they have a lot more people to be responsible for, there's going to be more restrictions.
Being at the birthing center was the best place to be for me. So whenever I had to go to the hospital, I was a little bit disappointed, but it was what was best for him at that time. I remember being on the operating room table crying, after I got my epidural, because I was just in so much shock about what was going on. I didn't really feel like I had a lot of control over anything, and I couldn't say stop, wait. I understand it was an emergency at the time, and that was the best for him, for Mason. But, I would have loved to have taken some time just to kind of be like, I'm having my child, you know, instead of it being such a rushed process with IVs and, you know, I didn't even know what medicines I was getting whenever I was there, and it was just completely opposite from what I wanted and a bit overwhelming, you know, since I didn't have a lot of say-so or choices. I mean, I didn't really like the fact that it was 5 days before I held him for the first time, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, of course, I get to hold him all the time now.
Many women are induced. Many women, in fact, the majority of women that give birth in a hospital have epidurals, and all of those things have the potential to create problems, and therefore we have more complications in birth than many other countries that are not utilizing some of that technology on a regular basis.
Infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate in the United States is I think it's 29th, and the level of, we have 28 other countries that have better rates than the United States, which is disheartening to say the least. And you know, I could go to Prague and have a chance of having a safer birth at a hospital in Prague than I would here in the United States. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of those statistics. And the World Health Organization says that countries' C-section rates shouldn't ever rise above 15%, and it's actually best if it stays under 10. So what's wrong with our healthcare that we have a 33% C-section rate in the United States? That means that 1 in 3 women will have a C-section, and it's alarming when we look at those statistics, and we have to really begin to ask ourselves, why is that the case, and why are women allowing the science of birth to take over the natural rhythm of our body during labor?
I guess the biggest thing that I think that women need to know is to trust their own intuition.
Society has kind of taken it away from us as women and kind of told us that we need to have our babies delivered by some other professional whenever it's a very natural thing.
The only way to make a difference is to start with yourself and educate yourself, and then choose to make sound quality decisions for your own body with your child.
Society has told everyone that, you know, doing what is natural isn't right because the doctors all know best.
If a woman is fearful about birth or about the place she's giving birth or the provider that she is with, she's more likely to experience complications.
I felt like I wanted that empowering moment whenever I deliver my own baby however I want and according to whatever my body said, because, you know, it knows what's best.
As a general rule, she just needs to trust her own instincts, that she knows where and with whom to give birth safely.